welcome to Rise of Tiamat super special Q&A episode. So we will be taking questions from you folks in the chat, as well as answering our own questions and asking each other questions and things as we go along. Katie went on a vacation and her train is delayed and she feels like crap. And after last episode, and we kind of built up to a really epic thing that heavily involved her, and we did like a whole cool thing. It didn't really feel right to be like, all right, now I'm going to pilot your character through the whole cool thing that just happened after you were traumatized. Didn't feel right. So...
the memories of last week are just sinking in.
Yes.
Oh, those are very heavy memories.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm thinking it's probably for the best to let the whole Belladonna's party do that themselves. Like, let them play it out together without someone piloting the character. So, that being said, we're going to do this Q&A. They still have content out there, but if you guys have burning questions that you want to ask, again, campaign-related, character-related, player-related, unrelated to Dungeons and Dragons entirely, that's fine. I'll throw it out there. One other thing I do want to let you guys all know is something we're going to pilot that we talked about a little bit today. So Belladonna's and Rise of Tiamat is now a weekly stream. We had to cut it early last week because I had stuff to do for work. But the general consensus was that cutting things a little earlier to make the streams about 2 hours long was preferable for all parties involved. So we're going to go for 2 hours as the mark, but then if we run long, we're not going into a 4-hour stream. We might be going to a 2.5-hour stream, or probably at max a 3-hour stream. So we would be right back where we started, but ideally keeping things shorter. It'll also be more digestible for you folks watching it on YouTube. So I guess I'm giving you that heads up, YouTube, when you go to watch this going forward, you'll know 2 hours will be the norm. So don't be looking for that lost content hour hiding in the ether. It doesn't exist. All right, a couple of other things I just got to get out of the way is we do have sponsors of Initiative Coffee Company and Elderwood Academy. They are great friends of the channel. You should check them out. They are cool. They provide me caffeine to keep going and provided all of us with cool gaming gear to... Look at that. That hex chest was right on demand, ready to go. So
It always is.
there we go. Always all good stuff. So there, yeah, it's fine.
I looked. No idea.
So
Good effort.
yeah. And I guess I'll throw this out there at the beginning. 3 of us will be at D&D Live, which is next week, guys. You talk about that? That's
Oh my gosh, what?
next Thursday is the D&D like Beyond party.
Mm-hmm.
Are we
Wow.
singing?
I'm not. I mean, I could, but I'm probably not going to.
I refuse. Though I do play a bard in this game, I am not. Nope. That's terrible.
I responded RSVP to the party that no, I will not be singing. As I know there are several people who
RSVP'd as undecided.
I know a lot of people really like to sing, and I don't want to take the spotlight from them. There are a few songs that live in my range of karaoke. They're minimal. But, depending, here, first question. What do you think? Because I could see the wheels are turning. Like, what's in Ted's karaoke wheelhouse?
Oh.
So, what do you guys think? Just throw, first question. First thing that comes to your mind when you think about
Bon
me.
Jovi.
That's a pretty good one. Yeah, I could some Bon Jovi. Yeah, I could definitely do Bon Jovi.
Ring of Fire.
Billy Joel.
So
Man.
Johnny Cash is pretty easy because it's all just very deep and kind of there's no real singing. It's kind of just a story song and you just kind of go. So while he's not someone that I usually go to, yeah, that's absolutely a song that I could sing. Billy Joel, I never really have, so maybe I could. But I usually I have very broad range of it's gonna be really high falsetto or something like so good like let's see, what did I
Make It
use?
Real by the Jets.
I've done I believe in a thing called Love by the Darkness.
I was just gonna say that.
I'm also pretty good at doing a falsetto version of like Foreplay Long Time by Boston.
Oh my God.
But my usual go-to is Ice Ice Baby, Vanilla Ice.
Oh, good. Oh, I'm so
Hey,
glad. Just announced on stream.
Yeah, that's the thing. Definitely have done
Will
that
you
before.
sing Ice Ice Baby with me at the D&D Beyond?
Please do it. Please do it.
Will you stop, collaborate, and listen?
only because Ice is back with a brand new invention. That's how that goes.
Oh my God.
So that is the thing. Also, so I've been seeing back and forth, and I guess just sort of FYI for all of you folks. So we're all gonna be, there's like 4 streaming studios. So there's gonna be content all day, and then like the main Descent events are at night with like the people that I'm gonna say a lion's share of people are going there to see are happening kind of in the evening, and that seems to be a contiguous storyline from my understanding, going through maybe not the same players but the same overarching story that's going to sort of kick off what they're likely going to announce on day 1, which is the new campaign that we will be playing and things related to. So that's cool. You guys can see us streaming. I think it's like literally just like twitch.tv/DND1234, I think are the...
Yeah, I think we're
D&D
we're
Live
on
one?
twitch.tv/DND Live 2 is where you can find all of us.
Yeah.
And Ted and I are in the same game.
Yes,
and
we
I
are.
want to steal his very cool shield.
Yeah, I get.
I may be roguey.
We'll see. I'll go get it in a little while. It's next door. It's,
Very cool.
my epoxy just arrived today. I have to to seal it so I can paint it. But anyway, so that's a thing. You can check us out there doing that. But I think they're also saying that we're allowed to like record and possibly also stream things unrelated, like B-roll stuff as well. I feel like that was okay. So maybe doing some like IRL streams on the side, walking around behind the scenes stuff. That's what I'll be doing, or filming and things, so we have some B-roll footage of the event. So be on the lookout for that. Okay, so chat, you guys are letting me down right now with 0 questions. So I'm gonna start asking questions then. Unless you guys have any questions for me first that I may or may not be able to answer.
No, I'm reeling from Ice Ice Baby, and I probably will be for a little bit.
Still blowing my mind.
All right. So anything else then for you guys questions, or I'll keep going? Oh, Celeste, we have a question in the chat. If you were all a Star Trek Next Generation character, which one would you be?
Oh no.
Who's going first?
Wait, but I have a confession. I've never seen Star Trek.
Okay, pick any Star Trek character then. You've got to know a couple.
Okay,
I
so
know a couple.
next gen.
Yes.
I mean, I'd want to be Data.
Yeah, who doesn't? I mean, yeah.
Oh, I know that one.
But I'm probably Beverly Crusher.
I see that.
Yeah.
See, I run into a tricky scenario of who I feel like I am and who I would want to be. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So like, I feel like me personally, I would want to be Riker. I feel like I can definitely. I've met Jonathan Frakes. I kind of have a Frakesian look about me.
You can do the backwards sit on a chair.
Absolutely could do that. But I feel like I'm more like a Geordie. Because he's got that kind of drier sense of humor.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where I feel like I am. How about you, Celeste?
So I think the opposite. I want to be like Picard, but I think I'm definitely a Riker.
I bet, yeah.
1000%.
Yeah, I know. Totally. Which kind of works being a Riker who wants to be a Picard, you know. So yeah, I think I'm definitely a Riker.
And Renee, what about you? Do
I
we-
only know like 4 from the original series.
Renee is a tribble.
Yeah, that fits.
I'm down for that. I'm down for that.
I'm one of those like Star Wars people who never got into Star Trek, and even then can't claim to be as big of a Star Wars fan as I feel like is expected in the Star Wars fandom. I am gonna I'm gonna say I see myself as Captain Kirk of the 4 that I know.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
self-confident, love my hair,
Yeah.
and a boss.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Into it.
Pension for the dramatics.
For the
If we are gonna go all Star Trek, I'd probably say that I'm from Discovery. I'm Tilly, because she is my favorite character.
I haven't seen Discovery.
Oh, I love Discovery. I know
I'm
a lot of people don't like it, but I love it a lot. Not for the main character, because whatevs, but for the rest of the characters, they're so great.
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
need to watch Star Trek. I
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
listen, if there's nothing, literally nothing else going on the entirety of this D&D live thing, we'll just put on Star Trek in the hotel.
Renee, I have all of them on DVD if you ever want that in your life.
Yes.
Last I
yes.
checked, the entirety of Next Gen was on Netflix.
Oh. Or you could
Although
do
I
what the young
I think
kids
they're gonna
do.
be taking it off soon, so
Well, if Celeste has the DVDs, we'll be fine.
there you
We'll
go.
be okay.
Exactly.
We'll be
plan a
okay.
Star Trek Saturday or something.
I would love that.
So,
too.
not that I'm trying to fish for more content, but
play a Star Trek game, because I will play a Star Trek
no,
game.
no. What I mean, I that was a can of worms as soon as I said it. But I think there's definitely like, what's the? I guess I'm thinking like the equivalency of like a rewatch blog, but not a blog, but just like a first
watch-along?
a watch or something. There's something there. A lot of people love Next Gen. That's a thing you should think about.
There is a great Star Trek podcast called The Greatest Generation where they talk about Star Trek Next Gen specifically through it's amazing if you guys want a new podcast to listen to.
There are, I think, about maybe 3 articles on the site, on the Nerd Immersion site, if you dig around, where one of my friends was doing a drunken original series rewatch blog, and she was giving them, like, rating them out of 0 to 5 fake foam boulders, was the rate scale. So there's a couple of those that exist out there. I can find a link as we go through tonight, but yeah. Anyway.
So, are we all Star Trek over Star Wars, or are there different opinions here?
So, when I was a kid, I was hardcore team Star Wars. Like, when Star Wars was making the resurgence in like 1993, 94, like before the special editions came out, like I was always a fan. But it was like a weird thing where like my parents had on taped VHS tapes, right? Not the actual tapes, just like off of TV. They had A New Hope and Empire Strikes Back. So from like the time I started watching these movies till the time I was about 9, I never knew how it ended because I only had the first 2. So I'd see Han go into carbonite, and that was the end. But what was crazy is my best friend Sean, who I've known my whole life. You guys know him from the internet and things. He only had Return of the Jedi and not the first 2. So he knew how it ended, but not how it started.
Lead each other.
Whoa.
So at one point, we had our parents come over. We had a sleepover, and they brought over his parents' VCR, and we did like the play one on one, record on the other, dual VCR setup. So we both had all 3. It was a good time. So, but I was hardcore Star Wars, but I did love Next Gen because my parents, my uncle, my cousin were all original series fans, and Next Gen was on when I was a kid. So like that would be a thing, like when they came over on the weekends, like they would just watch Next Gen. So I remember like asking them to tape it so that I could watch it like when I woke up.
Yeah, that's what my family did. We all would like once a week sit down and have dinner like on TV trays and watch an episode of like Next Generation. So that's just something we did. So I've always been pretty hardcore Star Trek. I've seen like the Star Wars movies, but I really don't know enough or haven't spent a lot of time in the world of Star Wars to merit being a fan.
I mean, all the stuff that I like got discontinued by Disney anyway, so
Yeah.
yeah, when they canceled the expanded universe. All right, C. Conowitch in the chat. If your characters woke up tomorrow with amnesia and they had to pick a different class, what would they pick?
Whoa.
So you can't pick any class that you have right now.
Which sucks because all of you are multi-class, so that
Yeah.
kills 2 right off the bat.
Yep. I'm pretty sure that Leah would be a paladin.
I could see that.
I'm pretty sure that Odella would be a merchant.
just an NPC.
I don't think she would choose to be an adventurer if she had amnesia. So yeah, I don't have an answer. That's great.
I really worry where Rid would be if she had amnesia.
The better question is, who would she be?
Yeah.
That's part of the question, right? Is like, who would she be? But also, if one of her other personas, like, would she forget about them, or would they surprise her when they existed? Like, I don't know. There's a lot of questions there.
Would would there be a whole new one? Amnesia persona?
Maybe something that she could settle into and get comfortable with.
That'd actually be a cool thing because you'd have to figure out who you are. And then all of a sudden at some point you'd have like these thoughts encroaching on your brain of like other thoughts and other personalities, and you'd be like, what?
Which, okay, so to some extent, I think she's got some experience with that, starting a new persona and building them from scratch.
Mhm.
So I think that sounds so bad. I think she'd be a very skilled amnesiac. But if Jalar were the personality, I would say Ranger. If Remy were the personality, I would say Bard. If Vera were the personality, I would say Sorcerer. And then Amnesia, I don't know what that would be.
Roll on the table.
Yeah, just see what happens. Build a new person from scratch. See where she lands. Oh, and Rid would probably be Rogue.
Yeah, makes sense to me. I buy that. So I'll throw out, I'll just use Larentir because I like him a lot. He technically exists in this world because he was there at one point through time travel.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he was there. Multiverse.
At the beginning.
Right at the beginning.
Yeah. I remember now.
So he technically in the OG version that he existed in, his version of Rise of Tiamat was a paladin bard. But I think were he to be the one that kind of exists in more popular culture that exists on the internet that you guys know, probably just bard. Because then he could get access to all of his friends way faster.
Yeah.
So we had a question. Do you prefer a DM to stick to the rules as written, or are you more proponent of rule of cool? I mean, I'll jump in. It's tricky for me as someone who I'm not gonna say has an encyclopedic knowledge of Dungeons and Dragons, but I have a pretty good handle on most of the rules off the top of my head. When you, whether it's inadvertent or on purpose, devote that much brain space to the rules, like in a way, like everybody loves the rule of cool, but I always have a problem as someone who DMs a lot of like, where can I don't want to call it stretch, but basically where can I stretch the rules? Like I know mechanically I can't do this thing, but are you the person who's going to let me do this thing because it's cool? And I struggle with that a lot because it's like, I know all of the things, but my character doesn't know all of the things. So they won't know to use the same spell, or using the same spell twice will fix the problem. But Ted knows, so is that cheating? But I like to try to do rule of cool stuff when it makes sense. And if people, I want to be the kind of DM where people ask me, like, can I do this thing? And if it makes sense, I'm going to be like, yeah, that sounds cool. Let's do that. I don't know. Your thoughts?
No, yeah, as a DM, I prefer, well, I stick to the rules as written as a base. And then if you want to try something, you're more than welcome to like put it past me and see and if it's sweet, then I'll probably let you do it. But as I know as a player, I play with a DM who strictly rules as written specific to a book, will not look at like errata. And it's so frustrating, and like rules is written almost to like the rules of nature as well. So like I play a Beastmaster Ranger in his campaign, and he treats my beast companion as like a real animal, so it will run away if it's like if anything loud happens, like if there's I have an owl companion, so if anything like stormy happens, the owl's gone. Like I don't have an animal companion anymore. So like,
oh, good, a third of your class, yeah.
Yeah, and then it's
I can't imagine what would happen if Turnip were like not there, and half the times I forgot about him.
right, like, and so like, and it's to the old player's handbook, so it's like not even revised Ranger. It's literally what's in the book, and it is the most frustrating thing to play in the world. So I think a little flexibility is probably a good thing. But yeah, I mean, I still play in the campaign, but it's just a little frustrating sometimes.
Yeah, I definitely throw away rules a lot. I always tend to go way more towards narrative, and like, I don't know. I mean, I'm learning a lot more about the rules, but I really don't miss them when they're around, or sometimes like as long as the story you're telling is effective and cool and feels valid, like go for it. Yeah, and it's pretty cool because like through the Venture Maidens community, even the community itself isn't a very rules like
not
loving,
anymore.
Yeah, crunchy community. They're really
not in 5e. They're not.
Yeah, it's a very different world.
Go look at some 3.5 forums. You'll have a very culture shock.
Yeah, so 5th edition people really don't care. They value narrative over anything else. So that's kind of where I put all my chips. But it's always so great to know the rules. So when you do have those players who are like really invested in the rules, you can give them that while also, making your cool story. Ideally, you want to cater to both.
Renee?
So DMing Fate and the Fable Maidens, I tend to go with the rule of goof. So if it's funny, sure, maybe we'll make it work. Because it's a goofy show, and sometimes that is not realistic or written in the rules. For me personally, I really like some leniency in DMing just because I am still learning. I've had several people advise me not to put like too much weight on how long I've been in the community, and I think that's an incredibly valuable thing. But I also want to be realistic and know that I haven't been playing and enjoying D&D for very long, and I don't want to compare myself to other people, but I know that I am still learning things about playing a warlock. I learned some things. I'm only level 3 with Rid, so like anything beyond that is still unknown to me, and there are some crunchy bits that I have not gotten to nibble on yet, and I am learning more every day. So thankfully, I think some of the DMs that I've had with some leniency about the rules have helped me learn and also enjoy myself throughout the process, because I did start playing at 3.5 and I did not like it. But I'm here now and I love it. So something happened in there, and I think it was the ability to not be so strict with the rules with 5th edition.
Yeah, I think it's a function of 5th edition, right? There's a reason that. So, and I know it's technically not true, but my perception has always been that 3.5 is very player empowering, and 5e is very DM empowering. Obviously, the DM always has the power, right? Because they're the one in charge, theoretically. But 3.5 had a rule for literally everything you could possibly think of. Like, seriously, if you look hard enough, there's a rule for whatever you think you want to do. It exists. And when it's in a printed physical book, that theoretically gives you as the player a means to say, well, no, DM, if you look at the rules as written on this subset alternative class feature in this book, I can do that. And that, I mean, to the fact, like, several books in, they introduced the equivalency of what is a bonus action in 5th edition. That wasn't around for maybe 5 to 6 books or more of 3.5. They added mechanics like that. So 5th edition is definitely, again, in the whole less book bloat, less books, less rules in general, give the DM the power, let them kind of do their own thing. And I think, obviously, with the rise of Dungeons and Dragons and things online, the only problem that could potentially have that I've seen is sometimes what people call the critical role effect and things like that, where people learn a rule set from a show that they watch, but that's not the rules in the game in general. So I'll say, like, go play Dungeons and Dragons Adventurers League if you want to play in something that's metered and organized by the rules as written. Those DMs and the people there know that, because it has to be balanced for you to pick up and play with literally anybody in the world. You bring your character and you go and do that. You get into a homebrew game like this that's based on a pre-written story, or completely homebrewed entirely like a lot of us run or play in, and it just sort of evolves over time. Like my friends on Tuesday, we like to dive into the rules and we'll sit there and we'll argue with each other like, okay, but the rules say this. And it's like, all right, we'll rule on it, we'll move on.
I'll also say that I was much less intimidated by picking up the 3.5 book at PAX Unplugged when we were building characters. Because the first time I saw the 3.5 book, my heart plummeted to my shoes. I was so freaking nervous. And then, like, flipping through the pages at PAX Unplugged, I was like, okay, this is still overwhelming, but I have some context now. I'm a gamer. I identify as a gamer now. I can do this. And so it was a little bit less just like flooring. And so it was kind of nice. That was kind of validating.
Yeah, I mean, 5th edition is, I see it all the time on my 5th edition versus 3.5 comparison videos that exist on the internet. And there's a lot of people that are like, you know what? I heard what you said about 5th edition, and I'm sticking with 3.5. I like the things that exist, and that's cool. Do your thing, man. You know what? I mean, there are still people out there playing, like, when I was playing 3.5 and a big advocate of that, there are people I knew that are like, no, man, 2nd edition all the way. And I was like, whatever, newer is better. And then it's like 4th edition came out, and I was like, I'm going to stay with 3.5. And then 5th edition came out.
Thing about 4th edition,
Sure,
though?
of course.
Because 4th edition is actually what got me back to D&D.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't for me, but it was for certain people.
I've never played it since. I played it the one time. But one of the things that was so overwhelming to me about 3.5 was having so many options of things to do.
Mm-hmm.
And then 4th edition presented me with a moveset. And it was familiar to a lot of like video games that I had played. And I had a set list of options. I knew what I could do instead of someone just telling me, you can do anything. And so it was more fun than I'd had at 3.5, and kind of what bridged me into 5th edition when I started playing that. So I only ever played a one-shot of 4th edition, but I think without that one-shot, I would never have given 5th edition the time of day or D&D the time of day again. And so thank you, 4th edition. I've never played you again. I honestly can't speak to how great of an addition you are. But nice. You got me here to Rise of Tiamat with the Belladonnas. So
there you go.
Nice. I started out on 3.5 as a cleric. That was my first ever playing of D&D. And I kind of miss it because I built a plant and animal cleric.
Yep.
And I could summon the crap out of things. Like I would just sit there, first 3 turns, summon an army, and then just sit back and like be like, heal.
Yep, I know. Listen, as a 3.5 druid veteran, man, I mean, we could talk about that all day, but we do have other questions, so I want to get to those. Yeah. Sekanowicz with another poignant question. If someone were to try to summon you, what 3 items would they need to put in the magic circle?
Are the items consumed or do they stay?
Either. I don't know. Any 3 items.
So I want to summon Laura to me right now. What
Right.
3 items do I need to put in the circle to summon you?
To get Laura to show up in your magic circle.
Yeah.
Donuts. I don't know. And that's about it. Just
3 different
types of
donuts.
Just 3 different. One with sprinkles. One with chocolate.
Yep. I'm a woman of simple tastes. I
Glazed.
can't even think of what else. Maybe my dog, but that would be hard to come by. That'd be a hard spell component.
Yeah. It's a very specific component.
Yeah.
What about you, Celeste?
I like that. I just want to get a bunch of donuts and sell them over to me right now.
Okay.
I'd come.
Okay. So I think to get me, you would have to put a bottle of red wine, the Dungeon Master's Guide, and Iron Maiden's album Power Slave.
Nice. Okay. Makes sense.
And I would show up.
All right. Renee?
So you would need to put a mirror. Handheld is fine. Maybe a broken shard, whatever you prefer.
Sure. Reflective surface.
Yes. Though
the
like a pool of water
non-specificity.
won't work, so you've got to be
Gotcha. Not a scrying pool. Just reflect.
No.
Got it.
right. A blade of some kind. That one's not really specific. It could be a big ass sword, or it could be an efficient dagger. Whatever you desire. If it's sharp and it's metal and can draw blood, we're good.
Butter knife.
If you push it hard enough, it'll draw blood.
Also, glitter of any color.
Gotcha.
Rainbow is preferable. Purple is like second most preferable. Silver is good too, but glitter of any kind.
Okay.
And then you've got the 3 components to summon me.
Mm-hmm. And Ted, what about you?
Coffee, pizza, and anything that's orange.
I've rethought about mine. So donuts.
Yep.
A chair to eat the donuts in. And a Sarah Bareilles album because she is my favorite person on the face of the planet.
What would have been a
listen?
That would work. Orange pen. Listen.
Got an orange thing.
I mean, you could make it orange dice. You could make it orange. Really, orange anything. You guys know that.
I don't have a lot of orange, so I just had to know that I had.
Yeah. Listen, it is an option. What would have been if we're running out of questions and we want to circle back around the next time we do this again? Well, we already answered it, so it's tricky, but the way you do it is you ask, what do you think you would need to summon that person, not what would you need? So we would tell Celeste what we think we need to summon her.
Oh, that'd be fun.
Because then you get your perspective on what you think you need.
Oh, that's fine.
We'll save that.
We'll come back to it.
That's yeah. All right, so Laura asked, what TV show would you like to see a remake or revitalization of? Laura's is yours Heroes? Because that's my guess. That's not the throw out there.
No, I mean, they did that already.
They did, and it didn't really work out so well.
Whatever, it was still great. I loved it. But no,
Yay.
I have a different one.
What would it be?
I want to see this back so bad. So I loved this TV show so much, and I watched it like every day on the Sci-Fi Channel. And it's The Invisible Man with Vincent Ventresca. And it was so good, and I just want it back. But like with the original people in it, because it was great. Like, I don't know. I still watch it. It's on like Hulu, I think, and I still watch it. I know it's on one of the streaming channels because I've showed my husband, and like it's just a great show.
In the chat, Dinosaurs, fantastic cartoon. 100% agree.
Never heard of that.
Not what I would pick.
Oh, but that helps.
Dinosaurs is fantastic. A lot of 1980s cartoons are great. Some of them needed finished seasons. I feel like it's not a cop-out, but I want to say Firefly, right? Like, that's my go-to. But you can't really do it because you're not going to have everybody around to do it now. Because I think Shepherd Book died. I thought he...
Yes,
yeah,
the actor died, yeah.
You wouldn't have Book. And especially with, like... It just is... It's so heartbreaking when you hear what the genesis of the story was going to be. Had it continued on, and that really hurts. But like, if this exists, this ethereal thing exists where we could bring back a TV show, so many people are going to say that. So I feel like I need to come up with something else. But that's what I would honestly want.
Plenty of people will say mine too, and I think that's okay.
Yeah, it's
Mine
okay.
is the Teen Titans cartoon.
Oh, yes. Oh my God, yes.
And I really, really loved that show, and it was
So good.
kind of foundational for getting me into comics and superheroes in general.
Absolutely.
And it's hugely memorable for so many reasons. I love it, and they still should bring it back. I maintain that.
Did you see Teen Titans go to the movies?
I haven't yet. I do still want to.
Uh,
That's it. I
there's
want to.
there's a thing at the end of Teen Titans go to the movie, and I hope that it's true.
Yeah. There's also an episode of Teen Titans Go. You remember? I want to say it's like the control, whatever his name was, the remote control.
Mad Mod? No.
You know, the guy who can control things with he has the magic remote.
Was it Mad Mod?
Might have been. I don't remember. He's like the big kind of schlubby dude with like.
Oh no.
You know what I'm talking? So he had like a remote control. Might have been Control Freak. Might have been his name actually.
Control Freak, I think is.
There's an episode where he's in Teen Titans Go, and he shows them the original Teen Titans cartoon, and they all like in Teen Titans Go are bawling and crying, like watching and like, and then it just ends, and they're like, "What? No! How does it end?" And he's just like, "That's it. I've defeated you." So
I will always be upset about that.
You should. I would.
That's a good one.
That was a good. I mean, I don't watch Teen Titans Go, but I watched that episode.
Raven is my favorite superhero, and I would love to see more of her in a good way, not in a live action bad way.
Oh yeah, I haven't watched the Titans show. Some people tell me that it's good though. Some people like it.
I don't want to.
Celeste, what would you bring back?
I'm like panicking because I don't really have because I got She-Ra back, and which would have been a choice, and I got Sabrina the Teenage Witch back, which would have been
in a way.
In a way, I don't know. I'm into it.
It's good, but it's very different.
It's not the same, yeah, by any means.
You
but
might be getting Captain Picard back soon.
That's true.
Yeah. Oh God.
But a renewal is different than a revival, right? Like they're.
Yeah.
Well, I was like either a remake or a.
Yeah, a remake. It's a Sabrina remake. Totally different, but they've remade.
Yeah, it's a little different than the TGIF block from when we were kids.
I wish they'd still done like the same Salem though.
Yeah.
I think
that would have been great.
I think there's definitely the opportunity, and I've seen episodes intermittently, but there's definitely like a some sort of drug or dream sequent haze thing where he should talk, and that should be like a thing.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Like where she's, I don't know, like under the effects of something, and that's happening as a callback. That would be cool.
I do still need to watch part 2.
Yeah, I haven't watched it either.
Celeste.
I don't know. I can't do it. I don't have anything.
A little bit more time.
Yeah. We're trying to stall for you here.
No, I'm panicking. I can't. I want them to make another Dungeons and Dragons movie, a really bad live action Dungeons and Dragons.
But how about a revitalization of the cartoon?
That would be cool. That would be super cool to do.
Like when we have people that make shows like Avatar, that make shows like She-Ra.
Yeah.
I mean, even if you want to go darker, like the Castlevania Netflix series, like those exist. Think about a Dungeons and Dragons cartoon made by any one of those people.
Yeah, they haven't done that yet because it's so good.
And I mean, when you have so many animes, I'm not going to call like say Sword Art Online is like that, but it kind of in like a weird MMO style way. There are a lot of animes that exist that are similar in vein, although it's people playing Dungeons and Dragons rather than than like just a story of the world of Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah.
What's your favorite type of dragon and why?
Copper.
Why?
Because have you ever read like what happens in their like domain? like
Yeah.
just weird thing. Like they like playing pranks on people, and they're like domains. Like I can't remember what exactly, but like you know how they have like the area of effect of like what they.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see if I can find it. I can't remember what they are, but they're just ridiculous things that happen.
I don't know. I don't know enough about each of the dragons to like say, but I will say out of sentiment, a black dragon is the first dragon I fought with. No,
Green.
green dragon was the first dragon I fought with the belladonnas. But the fight with the black dragon and Leo's dad dad dragon was amazing and so memorable. And I remember it was the first ancient dragon that I fought, is what it was. And so that was like hugely memorable and felt like a really big D&D landmark for me. And I think I'm always going to look back on that fight and remember just like the chills I had and how much my heart was pounding that entire time. And so I'm gonna go with an ancient black dragon.
Yeah, that was great. Okay, so I found the regional effects of a copper dragon, and let me just tell you, this is genius. So within like 6 miles of the dragon's lair, magic carvings of the dragon's smiling visage can be worked into stone terrain and objects. Tiny beasts such as rodents and birds that are normally unable to speak gain the magical ability to speak and understand Draconic. These creatures speak well of the dragon but can't divulge its whereabouts, and intelligent creatures within 1 mile of the dragon's lair are prone to fits of giggling. Even serious matters seem suddenly amusing. Like, I don't know, that's just great. Like, they're just there to be like, everything's funny and it's wonderful, and copper dragons are the cutest. That's why Pygot is a copper pseudo dragon, because I love copper dragons.
Yeah, I mean, after everything, like song dragons are fucking cool. Learned about that. Yeah, so thank you, Ted, for introducing me to that. And their lore is crazy.
Yeah.
Wow, but I've always loved silver dragons in particular. They just feel so much like what my idea of a dragon is. You know, they're sort of cold and like distant, but so magical and mysterious. So I've had a lot of like silver dragon NPCs in my games throughout time, so I've just always been really drawn, to silver dragons.
They're way cooler than gold dragons, in my personal opinion.
They are. Yeah. I always have like powerful, female sorceresses who are silver dragons in my game, and
I like silver dragons a lot. I mean, my first dragon that I ever fought was a green dragon. I defeated it solo, so that was a cool thing back in 3.5. But you know, to be on brand with things, I'd say probably one of my favorite dragons is the orange dragon, which is a pretty cool thing that does exist in previous editions. Its breath is liquid sodium, which was pretty cool. So like it's caustic, and then if someone tries to wash it off, it's sodium, so it reacts to the water and then explodes. So it's like acid, and then if anybody gets wet, then it detonates, and so it's double effect. So if the orange dragon is smart enough to position itself in a way where it's near water,
typically evil.
I think that there was a whole thing, if I recall. They are.
Well, I mean, they are chromatic.
Yeah, neutral evil. I could be making this up, but I could have sworn there was some lore somewhere deep steeped in some Dungeons & Dragons book of like Tiamat's sister, like a lesser known evil dragon that had orange, yellow, purple, brown, and another head that I can't remember. And like it was like the offshoot lesser dragons that are all still do exist and have cool powers and stuff, but they were neutral evil. They were because I think they were technically the offspring of a red and yellow dragon, because like that was a thing back then. You could mix colors to make different kinds of dragons. So yeah. cool stuff. Could control water and that kind of thing. So like very interesting combos. Because I think it was constant caustic burning, less damage but over time. So you'd want to wash it off because you'd be like, "Oh, I'm covered in acid," and then you jump into the water and then you'd explode.
Gotta know chemistry to deal with this dragon.
That's
Exactly.
wild.
Yeah, I think that's like.
I believe it, but like that's wild.
Yeah,
and I get it. I
think
get it on multiple levels as to why that would be your favorite.
Thank you. I think. All right. If you were able to commission a new 5e book, what would be the subject of that book?
So I had a dream once about
Go on.
it was Lady Pink's Tome of Pets. And it was essentially just a bunch of high-end pets in D&D that were a number of like creatures that could be anything from familiars to companions to just like adorable pets. And I still kind of love the idea of that, and like dogs with Shakespearean collars on and the art on the side, and yeah.
Man,
like it.
You joined the right
Flamingos.
campaign.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
You should write it, Renee.
I would love to. I should. It's time. When do I find time to? Yeah, I should. Lady Pink's Tome of Pets.
If you need a co-writer, I got you.
Listen.
And I woke up.
All
And it
right.
was also the first tweet I had that got over 100 likes.
So if you make that and you release that on the DMs Guild, you do it and you talk to Lisa or whoever else and you release it in time for Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and the proceeds to Lady Pink's Guide to Pets go. There's a whole. You listen. My ideas are free. I just give them to the internet for the world to have. So
That'd be awesome.
that would be a really cool thing you could do, and it would proceeds would go to a good cause. It would also boost your publishing, right? So that gets you published theoretically, right? That's a published work.
I could try and get a book done by October.
And can't say that I'm got all the time in the world, but I'm here. Let's make a thing happen.
Yeah.
Laura, Celeste, 5th edition book. Any topic, what would you want?
I really want a book of erotic fantasy for 5th edition.
That's your first go-to? Yeah? I mean, I guess it's on brand with your podcast.
Yes.
With my everything I play and run. I just think it'd be a really interesting resource to have now in a world where, you know, we're trying to be so hyper aware of like different people and different types of folks and like how that plays into the world of D&D and like all the I think there's some really interesting stuff and material to delve into there, and if that's done in a cool and effective way, I think talking about the sexuality of all these different races and like how this works in the world would be really fascinating to see. So that's what I would want in 5th edition.
That's not where I thought you were gonna go, but it's an interesting option. Depends on, I guess, how it's handled, but I don't think we're in a much more sensitive world to these kind of things, but I don't think we're there for a mainstream release of something like that.
No, I don't think it would ever be a mainstream release thing.
But it's a fantasy.
We're talking about fantasy dreams.
Yeah.
Did I see a tweet from you, Celeste, that was about like Pantheon lore for 5th edition not too long ago?
I think Ashley Warren is going to be writing or talking about a lot of that.
Really cool.
Yeah.
To see more Pantheon lore as well.
Laura, what about you?
I really don't know. Because I don't tend to use books. Most of the stuff I use for my own campaign, I just make up. But I would love to see an entire campaign book written around lycanthropes and like other like were creatures and stuff like that. I just don't think they get enough love, and I really like I've always really wanted to play like a werewolf creature in a campaign, but obviously that's difficult. So
When did you ever tell me this?
uh I didn't think it fit for this campaign,
Could
but
have. We could have made it happen.
if Ava stuck around, I would have definitely brought it up. But I don't want Nodella to be a
Fair.
So much going on with
Fair.
that.
There's a lot. There's a lot happening there.
But 100% if Ava had stuck around, because that is actually in my other campaign where I play Ava, I have told the DM multiple times, I was like, please, I want to be a werewolf. And he's like, no. And I'm like, please. He's like, no. He's also the one that makes my owl fly away all the time.
Yeah. Fair. So if I were to make a 5th edition book, I have a couple of thoughts. I've also thought about that in the past, because have been books like Deities and Demigods and Faiths and Pantheons, or existing books. Because I've often said too, right, if you're going to focus so heavily and hard on Forgotten Realms as the base setting for 5th edition, whether or not it stays that way, we've seen Eberron in kind of release form, I think you need more, like, Sword Coast Adventures Guide is the redheaded stepchild of 5th edition books. Everyone forgets it exists. People forget that a lot of the classes that were reprinted in Xanathars existed there in the first place. And there's a ton of stuff that was just left by the wayside that no one even looked back at, like other classes and things. So it was a good first step, but I think you need a good lore book for whatever your main setting is going to be. And that just focused on the Sword Coast. And I realized that, yes, Ed Greenwood, and even in previous editions, it was a multitude of tomes to tell the story of the Forgotten Realms. So perhaps that's not the way to go. A god book would be cool. You could touch on gods of different things. Or I mean, like, I think Deities and Demigods did base Greyhawk gods, but then also Norse gods and Greek gods and all these other kind of gods, which was cool. But my personal favorite, I would like to see what I would call like an alternative class features book. So a book that doesn't necessarily add new, and this is probably not going to happen because of the way they have 5th edition designed, but not new classes, but substitutions for existing things. We've seen this in old editions where, like, so let's say at 6th level, a bard gets counter charm, right? The most useless ability a bard gets. You have to know that you're going to be charmed and start playing it before someone is maybe going to be subjected to a charm effect. And then if that scenario happens, then they get advantage on the check. I would love a book that was like, you can change out counter charm and get this. Or like change out Jack of all trades, which is a really powerful ability, and also counter charm to get this cool other new equally powerful ability. Or like, let's say I want to be a ranger, but I don't. They kind of did it a little bit back, but it kind of got lost in early on Arthurcana. But like, I want to be a ranger, or I want to be a bard, but I don't want any magic. Take away my spellcasting ability and give me a cool other thing that I can do in place of that, so I can still play my class, still have the base mechanics of being a bard, bardic inspiration, I can have my subclass abilities, I can have jack of all trades, expertise, all this stuff, Song of Rest, magical secrets goes away, but what cool thing can I have in place of that to make me a non-magic bard, you know? Maybe I just tell stories, but I don't tell stories in such a way that I bend people's minds or summon sonic energy. That would be a really cool thing for me.
My 3.5 bard, I use bardic knowledge like all the time.
That's what I'm saying. Like, maybe I could get rid of an existing feature to give you bardic knowledge as a thing, right? Or like maybe you're a barbarian and you get rid of rage, but you get a cool other thing that's something similar, but it's not rage. It's another thing. And that opens up barbarians to the world of spellcasting, because now they can do their whatever the rage thing is. But I think that would be a book that I would really want, because that book, depending on when it comes out in the life cycle, takes all of the existing books that have come before it and then just potentially quintuples or more the number of options you have without expanding the number of classes or subclasses you already have. It just adds diversity. So 3 people could play, a College of Lore bard, but everyone would be different based on these features. So that would be my book.
I also want a book about wizards and like magic and just more of that.
A book of just spells would be nice.
Just because like the abjuration school is like absolute trash right now. Even necromancy, there aren't a lot of great spells for that. It's more.
There's definitely a lot of things that have gotten hurt because like they're not like a death cleric, right? Like they have some okay abilities, but clerics don't get enough necromancy spells to make use of a lot of that stuff.
Yeah.
Tell me about it.
Yeah, I know. And or just like arms and equipment guide, like back in 3.5, just like a book of items.
So great. Yeah,
so that's
better crafting would be
great.
Great.
non-magic items, just like expanded weapon, not getting into weird like exotic weapon proficiencies and any of that, but just like other types of armor. There's like, what is there, like 10 types of armor, period?
Yeah.
Like, give me more armor types. Give me cool new weapon types that do other things, right? Like, why is there no, D12 bludgeoning weapon? You know what I mean? Like, there's a great axe and a lance for slashing and piercing. Why is there no bludgeoning? Right? There's a great sword and a maul, but there's no 2d6 piercing weapon. Like, fill in those blanks that already exist in your game. And then give us other options. And then obviously other like simple things like tools and like things like tanglefoot bags and sun rods and thunderstones and all these old like non-magical things you could do. And then obviously a section on magic items as well. And like, you know what we really want? We really want hardcore how to fucking buy magic items.
Yeah, pricing. Just on different economies, given like an economy table, like what things might cost.
Between the Dungeon Master's Guide and Xanathar's, you give us some stuff, but like, just give us a price, man.
Yeah.
I get it. I get it. There's story between the Sundering and the Time of Troubles and all this other nonsense as to why magic is so rare and so hard to come by. But we've been in D&D 3 or 5e for 5 years now. Some of us have more gold than we can spend money. We can't spend it on things, but we'd love to be like, oh yeah, sure, I'll spend 500 gold and buy a +1 weapon. There are people who want that interaction. They don't want me to go on a quest, to find a contact, to find a recipe, to find a guy, to get a fucking +1 longsword. I just want my damn sword. Like,
I just want to go to Walmart and pick it up.
That's what I'm saying.
Fantasy cost.
Exactly. So that would definitely be,
or give me better crafting so I can make it myself.
Exactly. That was a thing. There were feats for crafting magic items in 3.5, so you could craft rings and wands and all that kind of stuff. And also, why do all the times you have a book where there's things that are magic, do you not write out what type of magic it is when people use detect magic to look at some cool item that you have exist? Tell us what kind of magic it is so we can tell the players and not be like, it's abjuration, maybe? I think. Yeah, that sounds good. It's abjuration magic. And they're like, shit, it's defensive magic. Better not go touching. You're like, fuck. It's evocation magic. And in 5th edition, evocation magic is also healing magic, but everybody thinks of blowing stuff up. So everybody's like, well, shit's gonna blow us up. Better not touch it. It's like, oh, it heals you to full health. Oh, no. There they go. Oop, goodbye. No, hashtag not salty at all.
Next question.
Which classic campaign, module, or game from D&D past would you like to see updated into 5th edition?
I cannot answer this because I do not know any classic campaign modules.
Me neither.
Yeah.
Celeste?
I mean, I really, really love all the old like Ravenloft stuff. So like I would love to see like Curse of Adam was one of my favorites come back, or like the Marionette like just some of those like classic Ravenloft adventures that were so scary. And I would love to see those like
Yeah,
come back in a big way.
I would like to see all of the other areas of Barovia, not, or I guess of
Like
Ravenloft,
domains of
not
dread.
not just Strahd's domain, right? For those of
Yeah.
you who don't know, not, I mean, without kind of, this is trivializing it immensely, so forgive me, everyone who knows old things. But there was basically a different domain of dread for essentially every universal monster, more or less. Right, so there was like a lycanthrope domain, there was like a Frankenstein and a mummy domain, and like these kind of things.
So cool.
And like Strahd is only a part of it, right?
Yeah.
Like there's like, I think there was like a lich who had his own domain as well.
There is some crazy stuff.
And like none of...
I very almost named my Wi-Fi Ravenloft.
I was there doing that.
Celeste was here, and I veered away from it because I was like, does anyone actually want to log on to Ravenloft?
I was gonna say, it gets a little misty out there, right? You gotta be careful. You don't want to be tempted anything. Yeah, I mean, I think I would land... That's a pretty good... It just... Ravenloft in general is cool, right? I love Castlevania, and that's like... That's the thing, right? That is, I'm trying to think of like a good 3-5 adventure that I really like, because they've done some updates, right? Like they've done Tales from the Yawning Portal, right? Ghosts of Saltmarsh is gonna have stuff like that. Is it Baldwin or Goodman Games did like Isle of Dread and a couple of these other ones, Salt on the Borderland, or on the Borderlands.
Isle of Dread was so fun too.
I have that book. Like I have the 5th edition conversion in the other room. Like it's like this thick.
Yeah.
But like it exists, and it's officially by Wizards redone. But it includes the original. Here, I'll go get it.
Awesome.
Keep telling them about old stuff. Or ask me questions, Chet.
The other thing I would really like to see, they had this this setting called Hollow World that they used to have, and so the premise of the world was it's a globe, right? But the inside of it is hollow. And so there's like a gravity sun in the center of it, and basically all the gods came together and made this world because they wanted to pick their favorite like races or lands or whatever, and like preserve that culture. So they put them on the inside of this hollow world and like put these mountain ranges in between them so they couldn't get to each other. So it's just a super cool setting that just leaves a lot open for the imagination.
Awesome. Yeah.
So your adventurers, you know, they're walking through, maybe in one world they're like in this like high tech, like very steampunk city, and then the next, you know, they're in this like prehistoric land filled with dinosaurs, like, you know, as they travel through. Super cool. Hollow World. That is so cool.
So it is, you know. So
very thick.
Yeah, well, what it
That's
is let's see. If we go,
look at those old maps. Oh, I remember those. I think I probably have mine. Well, the old one right here.
I mean, it does have updated stats for new monsters, new magic items, for all the classic stuff. Let's see. Where is it? I think it starts right. Oh wait, where the hell does it start? Yes, it does have that new book smell for sure. Let me go to the.
This old kind of like Ravenloft shit they had. So cool.
Beautiful. Wow.
Okay, so I will admit that I know nothing about Ravenloft. Is it just like vampires and stuff?
No, it's just like spooky gothic horror stuff. So like they would have adventures like that had like Frankenstein monster-esque things going on, or like worlds with like vampires or just ghosts, or like, and so all the stories are centered around like
So you could
pain
make
and psychic trauma, and
you could make a Scooby-Doo cake to go through.
totally good. Oh man,
really-
my cover fell off, but here's my old Isle of Dread.
Yeah,
Cool.
so if I were to go,
Oh man,
to that page, right, which is right here, I think.
That's so cool.
Yeah, I mean, it is. Let's see. I think if you start. So this much of the book, right? This much.
Yeah.
This is the original adventure, the one that you have in your hands.
Whoa!
That this from here on, though, this is the 5th edition conversion to that book, plus new monsters and new magic items for 5th edition. It also has like forewords by all the designers, interview with Zeb Cook, who designed it. It also has like alternate covers that were produced for later versions.
Cool.
And it also goes into the production, how there was 3 different versions of the original printing.
Yeah.
And then a full conversion of the book to get you from level 3 to 7. But like, I mean, look at the maps are all like the old school maps. I know, but there's, but like there are stats for the monsters that were contained in that book, which back then, like black dragons and other things were different. And, like monsters were different. They had cool, unique things. Like I see here's a killer bee, right? And a lava ooze and all this other kind of stuff. Glass golem, giant crab spider, giant marine termite.
This was the Hollow World book.
Oh, cool.
A sea dragon, right? Like amber golem. These all exist, so there are stats for things that were from that book, but now in 5th edition stat blocks, along with magic items, the same thing.
Oh, okay, we got a new question, and I think people's eyes are glazing over.
Oh, I had another question back.
Oh, it's really
there,
cool.
too.
I just I haven't played.
Yeah, I mean, I played 3.5. I've been playing for like over 6 years, but most of the stuff that I've played is made up. So I haven't played
There's
many
some
campaigns.
deep lore there that I would love to learn about and like comb through books, but I just the oldest book I have is not even the player's handbook, so it's newer than that.
I think the most recent. I think that is the most recent question. I think. What was your most memorable character death and why?
Oh,
Does
I don't
Ava
really
count?
have a character death.
I guess, yeah.
It was on the show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I killed a lot of characters players for the first time.
2 of my characters died on that
now.
day.
Yeah, that's true. I killed 2 of your characters in one day.
Yeah. It's real sad. And dog's named after one.
I have never had a character die.
I've had so many characters die.
Ever.
Oh.
Time to kill
No,
Leo!
and I didn't want to say that.
Oh.
I got the look in Ted's eye, because if
Oh,
Leo
no.
died, I would be devastated. Like, I think you all know like how excited and how much I pour into these games, and like I would probably be a mess. Like if my character died, I would like, go into hiding for like 2 weeks and not come out and just order pizza to my house and like mourn my character. Like,
And I have no shame, and I would probably gif your reactions for Twitter.
yep. Yeah, be
It'd be
weeping
horrifying and
copiously.
sad to watch.
So my most memorable character death exists on the internet. It was on stream. Curse of Strahd, talking about Barovia. All fucking Pat's fault. Killed us all, alerting 3 hags to our presence immediately, and the whole party died. It was pretty rough. It was probably the most rough because that campaign had like lightning in a bottle of the perfect build up and setup for us to really have like a really meaningful long running campaign, and it got cut short way quick. So like it was again Curse of Strahd, right? So set in Barovia, and we in Ravenloft, so we were basically at one of the first towns. We'd done the whole intro Death House mission. We're in one of the first towns, and we know that it's this one chick. Strahd's like, you're gonna be my new wife. I think you're my old wife. I'm gonna come and take you and you're gonna be mine. And her brother's like, we can't let this happen. We got to get her over here before he finds us. She'll be safe if we can get to here. So we're like, all right, we're coming to your house. So we all go to the house and we like board up the windows and we're all like very zombie movie, right? We're all like inside waiting. Like everybody's taking turns, taking watches. What's going on? Who knows what's going to happen? Like, zombies are battering at the door. I'm like, as a paladin, I go get rid of all the zombies. I'm getting out of focus because I'm so excited right now. Nope, we can't get in focus right now. There we go.
Welcome back.
Yeah, thank you. So it was crazy. I drove all the zombies away by myself so that everybody else could get their rest. So I was like, don't worry, guys. I didn't wake them up. I was like, whatever, no big deal. I'll do it. And then it's my sister who hasn't played 5th edition really much at all, has played D&D with us in a long time. She decided to jump into this campaign. She's on watch, and she hears like a fingernail scratching at the door. She goes to like look to see what it is, and it's fucking Strahd. And he charms her. She fails the charm effect, and he says, just let me in. We're all asleep. She's taken the boards off the fucking wall and she fucking invites him into the house. And we're sitting there at the table like, oh my God. Like, we don't know what's going on. And then like somehow, I can't even remember how, we get woken up that he's in the house. So everybody fucking beelines it for him. I used my spell slots. I used stuff already to try to stop the zombies from getting in before. So we're like, it's now in the entry hallway of a mansion. Strahd is there trying to get the girl who's up in her bedroom locked away. And it's our party and her brother. And we're in this like epic battle where he's summoning bat swarms through the window. And it's crazy. And like, he's taking us down one by one. Right? He throws sleep at the wizard just goes out unconscious. He's got me by like the throat. I smash alchemist fire in his face. He just fucking shrugs it off because he can heal more than the alchemist fire can do to him. So he's on green fire, just doesn't care. Knocks me unconscious, starts going up the stairs. I roll a natural 20 on a death save. I get up. He knocks me down again. And then he takes her and leaves. We can't do it. We can't defeat him. He knocks us all unconscious. He takes her and leaves. This was the buildup that had started in like the 3rd episode of this campaign. And then in like the 5th episode, TPK because someone was a moron. Like, that was the bit, like, that was how it started. Like, how cool could that have been to end that final confrontation with him with those characters? Instead, they were all murdered because the druid we were in a room with 4 fiends, and he wild shaped into a direwolf and howled, alerting them all to our presence. And we at level 3 were fighting 3 night hags in a coven, and they just murdered us.
That fight murders so many.
Well, it just so happens there's a raven outside who warned you not to go in there. And we saw a raven, you're in Raven Loft, right? Raven's got to be bad. Wrong. It's just wrong. So I'm at 120 feet away, I see this thing. And I throw a javelin with disadvantage, and I double crit on the disadvantage to kill the raven whose only purpose is to tell you when you get close, don't go in the windmill. That's what it does. The book puts it there to say, don't fucking go in there. It's bad news. So we kill the raven. We go inside. We start realizing, and like, it might not have been as bad if they came down the stairs one at a time. And we could drop one with 6 of us fighting this thing. But they all came down in a group. And then, like, it became very apparent very quickly. You can watch as over the course of that fight of, like, the realization dawning in on all of us that, like, no one knows we're here. We're not at home. We don't have connections. We're not coming back. Like, so it's just, like, a slowly, like, my sister is rogue, just fucking beats feet and tries to run away. She gets turned into a frog. I'm like holding the door, trying to let people escape. We get killed, chopped up into pies, and then fed to our new characters at Strahd's wedding.
is very Curse of Strahd, though. Oh my god.
How?
That was my most memorable character death.
I guess I haven't played enough to like have characters die.
It's
Do you have
This
a
is-
memorable character that you killed?
ooh.
Oh, okay. Oh my god. Well, I think Curse of Strahd was the first time I 100% killed a character. Like it wasn't like one of those agreements like between the DM. Like I've done that before, you know, like okay, like you
Gotta
have to
kill
leave the
you
campaign,
off, yeah.
like yeah, you die in a dramatic way, right? That doesn't feel right. I've done plenty of those, but like this was the first. It was outside of Van Richten's tower, and there's that wagon that's wired to explode.
Yep.
Our rogue had no, like, just walks up to this caravan, and you know there's the sign on it that says don't open,
Yep.
and didn't check for traps, didn't do anything, just pulled the thing. It was like like 14 d6s of damage, and they
Yep.
just fought off a whole pack of werewolves, so he was already down, and he just I rolled the damage. I was like, oh my god. And he looks at me, he's like, oh my god. I'm like, sorry, man. Like, I don't know. We were just both like so upset. Like,
Yeah.
that was so Curse of Strahd was my first like cruel DM moment.
Yeah, I think
Damn,
I think when you do that once, I don't know. I feel like you've done that one
breaks you.
time, and
Yeah.
you're just like, so yeah. Like I had that happen. I had a TPK. Same guy who killed my party killed a different party. It's just bad news for your game. Don't play with Pat. And then I ran Tomb of Annihilation, and I was like, wow, this is fun now.
Well, yeah, now I've got the
ripping up character sheets and just fucking throwing them, having a blast. Killed 4 characters in 24 hours.
Yeah, I want to run Tomb of Annihilation, but I definitely have to steal my heart.
You have the Find Familiar spell in real life. What do you summon, and how do you use your familiar?
Ooh.
I'm gonna throw some stipulations out here and say it's not gonna be like Warlock one where you're like, I can get a pseudo dragon or an imp or a quasit, like the base spell that the wizards have, which is like small animals for the most part. Kitty would work.
Kitty. I would just want to comfort Kitty. That's mostly what I would use my familiar for, is to purr in my lap and play with me in the evenings, but then also be a magical creature who could hide and not have to be on my rent.
Yeah, also would not theoretically technically need food. Right? And you could bamf it into its own pocket dimension and bring it back whenever you want. You could be like, man, I'm having a rough day at work.
That's what I'm saying. Or like
familiar.
If
boss is coming.
I know that someone's gonna have to come and fix my microwave, and I don't want them reporting me for having a cat in my apartment. It's just like, see you when I get home.
Yeah.
Bring it with you to work. Like you can go on your lunch break and be like, now my pet's here. Oh, like I said, boss is coming. Nope, sorry, gone.
Yeah. All I want in this world is to be a dog mother. Like I've been waiting my whole life for that. So I would absolutely have a Find Familiar for my dog, and I'd get a big old dog. That I would just live forever.
What kind of dog?
Probably a border collie.
Ah.
And we'd just be so happy together forever. Yeah, that would be amazing. And then it could never die. I could just resummon it. Oh my god, that'd be perfect.
Allergies wouldn't come into play with a familiar either, right?
Theoretically not, no.
That's really awesome too, because my dad is like super allergic to cats.
I mean, your point about no litter box in the chat, probably realistic too. It's a magical creature.
Right.
I mean, you also have the ability to see through its senses, right?
Yeah.
You could find out if dogs are actually colorblind. What do dogs actually see?
Yeah.
The scientific breakthroughs alone you could make.
Just going like camping with your dog and be like, hey, let's go run, buddy, and like go into your dog, and then you're like just fucking love in your life, like in a river or something. God,
Yeah,
that'd be
I think I would
amazing.
use it. I just like that's not why I would have.
Yeah,
the
it's just a
cool-
fun
If
benefit.
we can do the cool thing, we would totally do the cool thing.
Yeah.
And I mean, you can
Yeah.
communicate with it telepathically, so it's not like, what are you feeling, buddy? It's like, oh, got you.
Yeah, because my dad loves cats so much, but he's so allergic to them. And just like a familiar could be the answer he needs.
There you go. Laura?
Dude.
Have you guys ever read the Abhorsen series by
I love them.
Because I would just want the disreputable dog.
Yeah.
But basically it's just this like dog statue that comes to life and is just like sarcastic and like ridiculous and like can morph into different things. I know that's not a true find familiar, but I didn't want to just copy the dog one because literally I would have a dog because I love my dogs so much and they're just such a joy to be around.
So for me, I've always wanted like a falcon or a hawk or something like that. I've always wanted one. I have all the paperwork filled out for falconer's license, and now I have property where I could make a significant enclosure to have one. So it's the thing I've always wanted to learn how to do. But besides the, the financial and commitment and the space commitment you need to do that, I don't have the time, because like you need to, I mean, like you got like there are certain dog breeds, right, that you need to exercise and you need to run and you need to like to have them, like they need to do that, like work, like a border collie, right, work dogs. You need to give them a task and keep them so that they are able to do whatever they need to do. And a falcon, it's one of those things that like they never stress enough when you're reading all the paperwork. It's not a pet. It's a hunting partner, right? You need to teach it, you need to train it, you need to take it out hunting and spend that time teaching it to do that, because that's what it needs to do to live. And like it helps you, sure, and you could do things with it, and that's a cool, rewarding aspect, but that's like a time commitment that I don't have. As the same thing, you could fly and see through its eyes, which is a cool thing. Or it could be an owl, right? Everybody loves Harry Potter. You could deliver messages via owl. But I think I just want
to children so that they think they're going to Hogwarts and then they're not.
Wow, you took that in a horribly cruel way.
Worst thing ever.
I mean, more realistically, like Sean lives 4 minutes down the road, and while yes, I could text or call him or literally drive to his house, I could send him a message via owl, which would probably get old after like 1 or 2 times, and then I'd just make it a fox because I've always wanted a fox as a pet. Yeah. New York is unfortunately one of those states where you can't own a fox legally as a pet. So
I feel like you guys are all learning that I am a little bit evil.
When in Rome.
Q&As do to you.
If you could DM any type of game or game system, what would you want to DM?
Okay, so I work at this company, so I'm going to say it, but I really like the game Weave. And I work at the company because I love it. I'm not saying that because I work at the company. I just started this job 3 weeks ago, and I loved the game much longer than that. I kept walking by the Weave booth at PAX Unplugged. So if Ted and Celeste lost track of me, that's probably where they could guess I was. I really enjoy the game. There are so many worlds that can be played just with the simple system, and it spoke to a lot of the anxieties that I had when I was very overwhelmed by D&D the first time. So I really love running it, and I would run a lot more of it, especially since we're coming out with a playset creator soon, which will allow people to write their own settings and worlds and publish them within the game and sell them in the store. And so the possibilities are pretty endless, and I love it a lot. That said, I also want to run more Monster of the Week because I loved the one shot I ran of it, and I'd love to do it again.
Yeah, I'd love to play Monster of the Week. It sounds so fun.
Well, next question is what you want to play. First question is what you want to run.
Okay. I have wanted to run like a really noir as hell Call of Cthulhu game for like
we've
a
talked about
year.
that,
I've been
yeah.
really intense about wanting to run this, and I haven't had the time to do it, but I would love to run a Call of Cthulhu game. I've gotten to play like 2 times now, and I'm just so freaking like, I just love it so much, and I really, really want to run that. So
Also, that Mistress of Mods kind of noir game was great with you. So I think you would do an excellent job doing that.
I love noir. It's my absolute favorite. Or a World of Darkness game in a noir setting. I would just love to do that.
Laura?
I'd really, really love to run like a superhero game, but like not like Superman, Batman type superhero, but like B team superhero. So like just like powers like that don't really make sense, like Polka Dot Man and stuff like that. Like with like the ones that are just so like weird that you're like, wait, how are you actually doing anything as a superhero? I think that would be so that it like wouldn't be like overpowered, but like you could still have fun with random superpowers and stuff like that. Probably would have to do it in like Cypher or something like that. I'm not sure.
Check out Masks if you haven't seen it.
Masks
I
might be a
would
good
check
way.
out Masks. Also, there may be a Weave playset in the works that has that kind of theme to it, which would also
Hashtag not sponsored.
I almost bought Weave like a year ago because I really enjoyed watching some group play it on Twitch. I don't remember who. And I was like, this is really sweet. And I liked the whole idea behind it. But then I kind of got a little bit scared of trying a new system with nobody else that was like into it. So I got nervous and I went away.
I'm here for you and I will play with you. And
Cool.
again, not because I work there, because I love the game.
Cool.
So a game that I would love to run. I own a lot of stuff, and there's a lot of things that like I've run one game in that I would love to try to do again. It's stupid and it's so hard to comprehend, and the rules are so stupidly complex. Is basically any Palladium game. Anybody who knows anything about Palladium books knows that the rule system is bananas. And you need like multiple sheets of paper to keep track of all of your skills, and everything compounds so that. I did run several one-shots. I think one of them is on stream of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles RPG from way back in the 1980s, which was fun. But I think what I'd honestly like to run more than anything is a consistent campaign with 4 players who love their characters, are invested in it, want to show up every time we play, and run that campaign from 1 to 20. Like, start off small time nobodies and then turn into world saving heroes, but like not have to go through the hoops that so many of us have to go through, where you lose people, you lose players, people lose interest, people stop caring, the game falls apart. You know, I want not to say it this way, but like I want a game of 4 people that at any given point, based like that they're into it, right? They're not opening up other windows on their computer. They're not on their phones at the table. Like, I want 4 players that I'm going to be able to, at any given point, whether it's happy or sad, I can get Celeste level GIF reaction faces out of the entire party the whole time.
See, my reaction is with shock is just to not show emotion. So that's why I'm like, I'm terrible.
No, but just but the general concept, like I want people who are going to be there and like present in the game and what's happening, because like the amount of times, and no one here specifically, or but it happens, right? You can see when you're playing a game online with people and you see the white flash as the secondary window opens when they're like, yeah, I'll up, and then they just pulled back open their character sheet because they were off doing something else. Or like you can see like wait, what? Oh, yeah, so it's my turn? Cool. So, did that happen? No? Okay, cool. So I'm going to do that. Like, just people that feel like they're there. And the better way to do that, if I could do my dream campaign on top of all of that, at the same physical table with the same people, so we all could have that energy of being in the same room. You know, that's my dream game. Is, I guess, less of a type of game and more of a scenario in real world, right? Like rent a house and like make it a reality TV show, right? So it's
That'd
like,
be awesome.
you know, you play the game and that's the main focus, but it's also the story of the people
Mhm.
playing the game. Anyway, that's that. So what game would you love to play in? What would you be your ideal, your dream when to be a player in? Anybody jump out first?
I really want to play that Buffy game. that
Ah,
you
the Buffy
had.
RPG.
Yeah.
I really want to play
Yeah.
Buffy.
That's fun.
Yeah, Buffy, a Monster of the Week game. I think I would, super love. I just love that idea of those shows like Buffy. It's the same shit. Like I
Yeah.
want that.
Would totally run it for you.
Yeah.
Our campaign, the campaign that I'm running right now, everybody is supernatural characters.
Yeah.
So I'm having kind of a little bit of fun with that right now. Like they're all just weird. Like my husband is playing Dean Wizchester, and he's a wizard.
Yeah. That's
And then like
That's
we
super
have
special.
Sam Wizchester, and then we have somebody who had never watched Supernatural, so he happened to name his character Lauren, and so they just call him Lore all the time, like, let's consult the lore. And he's just like an intelligent character that just happened to work out, but he's like, what are you guys talking about? Like, so that was great, but sorry, off topic.
No. So the Buffy is definitely, like I said, as someone who's run a campaign or a show, directed a show, if you were to use the game terminology, for 7 years, it's definitely a good time. And I did run a one-shot in a weird, strange Philadelphia setting with people that were in the room. It took place in the hotel we were in, which was weird. It's supposed to be at the convention floor, but hey, it turned out okay.
it was cool.
It was still very good. I was very invested in that game. I got a lot of chills. Oh, sorry. I was going to tie off of actually what we talked about before, but I started a mask game on Wednesday, and I'm so excited to play masks. I've wanted to play masks for a very long time, and I love superheroes a lot, like a deep, deep love of superheroes. So I'm really excited to play in that system and see what it offers. I like Powered by the Apocalypse games, pretty much all the ones I've played, and I made my character, and I'm really excited about them. So we'll have to see how it goes.
Yeah, I would really like to be in a consistent a Mage the Ascension game. Because I love spell casting and magic and like magic theory. So I did get to play in a game that Sage from Venture Maidens ran for a while. It lasted a couple months, and it was just really fun and weird about how to think about how your magic works constantly. Like, so that's something I would really like to play in consistently as well.
Mage is too complicated for me. I mean, it's probably not now if I think back on it, but when we tried to run it, it was just too much. We had like a Mage one shot. When there was a time when Buffy ended that I have whiteboards, a lot of whiteboards, and that was how we used to figure stuff out when I was younger and in high school and post college. Like we'd sit there and we'd write stuff out on a whiteboard and then hash out what we were gonna do when we were all hanging out based off the whiteboard. And we had set up something on the whiteboard of different campaigns and different settings and different game systems and who was going to run them, and we were going to have each person run a one shot in each different game type, because I was like, I'm tired of running everything for you guys all the time, so let's everybody try something out and we'll figure it out, like who's going to run what, and we'll play the different games and we'll get the different idea, and then it'd be like, all right, well, Sean, you ran this game, but I think if you ran this instead, it'd be perfect. And we tried this Mage one shot, and it was too highbrow too high thinking for my players. Like, we need to find a place, someplace. Like the one guy had probability magic and like couldn't think to the level of like, why don't I pin a map to the wall and then throw a dart and use my magic, and then it'll take me where I need to go. because like that's the kind of conceptual magic that you could do.
Right.
I would love to play. I made a lot of characters for a lot of campaigns. I made a superhero character for some Marvel, an old Marvel RPG that one of my friends was gonna run, but we never got past like the beginning because we did like a mock battle. Right, we were all gonna be X-Men. That was gonna be the storyline. We were all gonna be at Xavier's Academy, and not obviously we're not gonna be like superhero like Jean Grey level power. We're gonna have whatever powers we were given, and we did like a danger room scenario fighting. I think it was Abomination, right? So Hulk's villain, and in the way that game was, you had like points that you would put, and like you'd have like I have 10 points, and you could decide if you want to save points for defense or offense. And in that danger room scenario, the three of us combined could never deal enough damage to Abomination to both overcome his healing factor and his damage resistance to ever possibly defeat him. It was impossible. And because there was no rolling of dice, right? There wasn't like the chance like, oh, we'll crit and we'll beat him. The system hard stopped us so we could never actually beat him. Because that was just, I mean, Grant, maybe it was a poor choice for our character level to, as like the first fight, but that made me really want to play like a good superhero RPG. But really, I want to play in a Changeling, the Lost World of Darkness campaign so hard.
Yeah.
I have every single book, both first and second edition of that campaign, so I could just read them and absorb the world that they take place in. And I asked my friends during that scenario, and they're like, "You're the only one who understands it, so you'd have to run it." And I was like, "Fuck you guys!" Like, I want to just play the goddamn game, or like, I want to play in a World of Darkness campaign where it is like all of the pieces that the storyteller feels are important, but I want to play a hunter, right? So I want to be an everyman person, like a regular person with some sort of magical capabilities in that world. So I'm like way outclassed, but I'm gonna get by on my gumption and my little bit of power granted from something.
Nice.
Yeah, I played like 4 episodes of a Hunter the Vigil game, and I had power from like Satan, which is pretty cool. It was one of the things. So I had basically my powers worked out to be Ghost Rider's penance stare, right, where you could stare in somebody and reflect the pain they'd caused back on them. I could summon Hellfire, which was really cool. And like I just got the ability to summon Hellfire, and we never played after that.
No.
So
That's such a bummer.
Yeah, and I was like, it's so cool because you could choose to take damage yourself and increase the intensity of the fire. And I was like, oh, this would be so cool. And like one of the other characters had his power, but like from angels because he was descended from Michael. So like that was a future conflict that we were gonna have because nobody knew who anybody was working for. So another lost campaign. So that is a game that I love to play.
There are too many of those. There will always be too many of those.
Yeah, the ones that got away.
Yeah.
Oh.
I feel them. I will always love them.
Laura, bringing it real. What's one thing you wish people knew about you or about your character? If stuff about you is too personal.
Just giving you the option. Is that
new about me? I feel like I'm pretty much an open book. In both me and my character share too much information constantly.
I feel kind of the same. Like I try to be pretty transparent. I'd say that, and I'm gonna preface this with, I want to say I wish people knew, but I also don't wish they knew. It's kind of a weird conflicting thing. And I've talked about it a lot more publicly since I had surgery, but I'm chronically ill. So gaming was so good for me in the sense that there were some days when I did not have the energy to leave the house, but I did have the energy to snuggle with a stuffed animal at my dining room table while a DM ran us through a game. And so gaming has meant a lot to me because it is something that I could still do. And like even here, like there have been some games like last session, I had the most energy than I've had in a long time. It's the first real session after surgery and some recovery. And it's something that I'm still probably gonna have to deal with in the future because it is chronic. It's not something that goes away even with surgery, but um, I addressed it and it's something that affects me but doesn't like define me.
Mm.
And so I'm trying to talk about it a little bit more because it is part of my like gaming story and it does affect how I navigate conventions or why I act certain ways during games and things like that. So it informs a lot about how I play.
Very cool.
Mhm.
Oh, and playing characters that do things that I could not because I've never been physically able. Well, so that's really cool.
Yeah.
Role play.
That's kind of the same for me. Like I grew up with a very bad speech impediment and people made fun of me a lot for it and I still have problems with it. Like that's why I have a really hard time thinking of things to say quickly when we're playing, just because I have to really think about what's the best way to say the sentence that's my speech impediment's not going to show. So that's very difficult for me. But playing games like this has just been very helpful in like kind of overcoming that and like moving on from like that people aren't going to make fun of me for things like anymore like that. So like I think it's such a good thing to like kind of get out there and like just to kind of face things head on, but like I think in a safe space. So like I like talking about stuff like that, but like it's hard to like just be like, hey, remember all the like here's all this horrible stuff that happened to me and like it's really tough and people are like, okay, weirdo. Like But yeah, so I was like, oh, I'll ask this question, then I can bring it up.
There you go.
I guess for me, I don't know. I wish people knew or understood maybe like how much I bust my ass to be here. Like the amount of like all the full-time work I do for my other job and the 100 other jobs and producing Venture Maidens and like showing up here and the amount I don't sleep, and it's because I care so much and I'm trying to carve my way into this D&D community so hard and so actively all the time. So I'm standing on my like exhausted pyramid of my triumph constantly, like
Mhm.
building more shit. Like I love D&D and I love gaming and I want to make this my life so hard and I give so much to do that. And just that's always something I want people to be constantly reminded of. People who, will look and say, oh, why do you get invited to this thing? Or why do you deserve this or whatever? And be like, because I don't sleep and it's exhausting. And it's
Mhm.
like, so that's something I guess I think most people know that and realize that, but it's always just something, I want to hold my flag
Mm.
high and be like,
Yeah.
yes, I'm working to be here really hard.
Yeah, I think I would probably echo a similar sentiment. I mean, especially because I do a lot of video production for things on YouTube, and it's like it's things that live on YouTube for a long time. And Jordan can speak to this as well, right? You still get people commenting on videos from I mean, for me, 2, 3, 4 years ago, and they're like, and it's just like, do me a favor and one, think about what's going on, but also in some other ways, like this video is 4 years old. Like, look at the source date of when this video was published. My opinions likely have changed immensely on what was overpowered in the game when there was only 2 books, right? Like, I released some of those videos when the Dungeon Master's Guide didn't even exist. Like, I couldn't look at that as a reference. But like, yeah, like you said, Celeste, I mean, like, I don't live to just create streams and just create content for YouTube. Like a lot of us out there, right? I'm doing a 40 plus hour job a week, right? I'm doing the half an hour, an hour minimum commute every day. On top of all of that, like I work in the utility industry. So if bad weather comes through or we get a regulatory mandated thing, which is stuff that I'm happening right now, like my colleagues, I'm not at that point yet just because I was doing other stuff, but like my colleagues are putting in 30 to 40 hours of overtime a week on top of everything else. So like that's my foreseeable future for the next couple weeks on top of being a parent and a husband and owning a house and having to pay all those bills and having a second son on the way and then prepping to go to like a live event in LA next week, all this stuff, like we do a lot of other things, all of us, outside of just the sphere that you see us in. Like, and I'm not trying to trivialize people who do the YouTube and the Twitch thing as their whole job, but like if that is their whole thing and like they have a production team, right? Like I don't have an editor, right? I don't have a production team to run through all of these streams and do mic checks and sound checks and video checks with every time. I don't have someone running the updating the bars and the donation things behind the scenes, keeping track of all that stuff, checking to see how many videos, how many viewers and things like that, and staying engaged in the chat, a social media manager. That's all me. I had to teach myself video editing to learn how to do this, and I still don't know it. And I'm trying to expand to do more stuff. And all the while learning. Like I just figured out what a mixer board, how it works to do better audio, so you guys can have better audio when we do our show on Tuesday night next door. Not to mention, like, just bought this house last August, and I'm building everything here. Like, it's crazy. Like, we do so much, but people only see you in this little window, and that's all they get. So
I think to springboard off of that, I can relate a lot as well. But I would also say that we don't always post publicly when we are having a hard time with things. So Grace, when we see Grace from the community, it is like such a breath of fresh air, a tall glass of cool water. It's like, thank you so much for understanding that right now things are hard. Because sometimes things are really hard, and I'm really grateful, and I've been so blessed to work with people who are so understanding and helpful. Like playing with the belladonnas while I was so sick was so relieving because I knew I had a group who is understanding and accepting and kind. But that's not always the case, and there are plenty of people who are like, you had to cancel this because you're a horrible person. It's like, actually, it was because I was too sick to get out of bed.
But cool, thanks, bro.
Yeah. The amount of like, there's another one, like the amount of comments on my videos that are like, clean up your fucking space. Like, see this box that's been here for a while of fucking Yu-Gi-Oh cards that are just like hanging out from my parents' house.
The decor, it's part of the
well it's just like, and I mean, I think one guy, he just got me at the wrong time where he's like, clean up your fucking space, and I was like, all right, you just sit the fuck down, let me tell you why it's not clean. And like there was no comment except for other people liking my comment about just like, listen, all right, I'm in the midst of moving 5 or 6 home renovation projects, all this other nonsense, like I'll clean up my fucking space in my own time. Like, yeah.
So thank you for Grace. It's
absolutely,
it never goes unnoticed. Like,
absolutely.
we always see that and are relieved.
For sure. For sure. Well, here's one. Let's make it light. What's your favorite Pokemon?
Dragonair.
Nice.
Oh my god, that's one of my favorites too.
You can have the same one.
Yes, you
can.
There are so many hundreds of Pokemon, it's okay.
Yeah, there's 900
I have a Dragonair companion named Zakiryu, and I've had said companion since elementary school. And I used to have a little Dragonair figure that I would take as my good luck charm for math tests, and I put it out in the corner of my desk. One day I lost it. I was very sad, and I was so sad. I looked everywhere for it, and people were like, "Did you check your pockets?" And I was like, "Yes, of course I checked my pockets." But that was back when I was young enough to have pants that actually had pockets, and so they were really deep pockets, and I didn't check far enough down. And I was able to find my Dragonair action figure in my jeans pocket. But yeah, so Dragonair's always been my jam, and I think the second mixed reality is far enough along for me to walk the streets with a Pokemon companion, I will have a Dragonair by my side.
Damn right.
I guess I'd have to pick Mewtwo. I've been pretty
Really?
freaking obsessed with Mewtwo.
Me
Yeah.
too.
Uh,
I think Celeste and I must have pretty similar Pokemon.
Well, I think we have similar Pokemon tastes. I've always loved Mewtwo, and then like since the first movie came out too, especially I'm like, oh, it's so dark and like purposely, like me as like a 12-year-old kid or whatever. I'm like, oh my god,
You
I
mean
love
the only Pokemon with lore in the
Uh,
in the games?
Yeah, it's crazy, and I've always loved psychic Pokemon. Have always been my favorite type.
I have a Mewtwo inspired Warforged Mystic that I am dying to play.
We should build our Pokemon teams for day. I think
That'd
they
be
probably
awesome.
just be the same.
Laura?
Mine is Furret.
Nice.
Oh, so
Cute.
Just because one, it's adorable, and two, it's like the best Pokemon that you can get in the beginning of whatever game that is. What, Silver or something like that?
Because you can teach
Yeah.
him everything.
You can literally teach him everything. He's
All the
like the
HMs.
best. And I just I don't know. He's super cute. I just love everything. I don't even like evolve him because I just think he's cute.
Oh yeah, I definitely give my Dragonair the stone that they just hold to keep them from evolving, because Dragonair, please, no Dragonite.
Dragonite is a big doofy. He's a good boy, but he's a big doofy boy.
No.
I'm
Boo.
fine.
Yes, D Bastion, there is an Adventure League module. And yes, we actually have that because the guy who created it reached out and sent it to me to do a review. So I sent it to Celeste to do a module run
It's
of that.
totally in here.
Yeah. My favorite Pokemon is Kingler.
Oh.
So I'm in a very small minority.
Okay.
But I just fucking love Kingler. It's my favorite Pokemon.
Is it because it's orange?
It's not, but it's a coincidence.
But that helps.
That doesn't hurt. It does not hurt. But no, I don't know what it is. And it's not like I have this affinity for like crustaceans. Like I don't love was it crabbish or no, corfish. The one that came later that turns into like lobstar or whatever. Like I don't love those things. But freaking yeah, Kingler is my absolute favorite Pokemon. I just like, as someone who, I guess something else that like people don't really know too much about me. I mean, obviously I love video games, but like I was hardcore in the competitive battling scene for Pokemon for a long time, and it just hurts me so much that Kingler is not competitively viable in the least.
Is it fair to assume that your dream team would be entirely orange, though?
No, it is not.
It is
My
not
dream,
fair.
my
A
dream
Charizard
team.
and an Arcanine and
I'm a Bulbasaur boy for days, man. I was not a Charmander or Squirtle. Bulbasaur's my first Pokemon.
Charmander, always my
I'm
first.
ride or die Bulbasaur. So not including legendaries, my dream team of Pokemon is Kingler, Caesar, Venusaur, Typhlosion, Dugtrio, and the sixth one's kind of like a flip-flop. And then I get into like am I in the Pokemon world? Do I want something that can fly? Do I want something that can run fast? But that one I'll usually like flip-flop around. I really like Chandelure. Like Ghost Fire is a pretty interesting mixture. But I also, bug Pokemon's my favorite type, so most bug types are interchangeable in there. So no, not all orange. Really, just Kingler, man.
Just Kinglers.
I
Just doing
I love my crab hammer, man. Just get in there, beat the shit out of people with a giant. I have to the point where like that's a future cosplay of mine is like a armored, like
Oh, that'd be
Kingler
cool.
Gajinka cosplay.
Oh man.
Nice.
Jordan, what Harry Potter house am I? By Pottermore and most other quizzes, I'm a Gryffindor. By my own personal opinion, I don't really think I fit too well in any of the prescribed houses because I'm like, I'd say that like, I don't think I'm like overly cunning and like I'm intelligent and clever, but I'm not like I wouldn't use that as my defining characteristic. Um, and you know, I'm courageous-ish, but like what I value more than any other thing in my own personal life as far as values go is patience. Like, I'm the most patient person that a lot of people know. I don't really let things bother me, and there's not really a house that is a focus on patience, right? There's like it's an aspect of some of them depending on how you look at it, but that's why I made up my own house.
That's so Hufflepuff.
It's very
That's
Hufflepuff.
very Hufflepuff.
So
That's what I was thinking the whole time. Thank you for saying it.
personal choice trumps Pottermore. Well, maybe I'll go to Ilvermorny. I'll go to the American school.
Whoa. I always thought I was a Slytherin, but I'm such a Gryffindor.
I am
Hold my
Slytherin.
beer. Get out of here.
Yeah.
That's fine. I'm a Ravenclaw. Oh my god, are we all 4 houses?
Yeah, I guess so.
Because we've assigned Hufflepuff to Ted.
To
so,
Ted.
yeah.
I'll agree with you, Jordan. I had a while where I was trying to think of. I built up like a whole fan fiction story about this 5th house, and like it doesn't exist because dude just didn't care. Just like whatever. That's kind of like my jam.
It's the sloth house.
I was gonna make it a bear, right?
Oh, okay. That works too.
And I was gonna go with Tersatrek, right? This is gonna be orange and brown because it's mine, orange and brown, and it's a bear.
Of course it is.
Theodore Tersatrek because I made up the house, so I'm gonna name it after me.
Uh-huh.
And
This is
yeah,
super cute.
it's just like, and I started like thinking about the grand scheme of like Hogwarts, and it's just like not gonna get involved in anybody's shit because it's like, oh, all these squabbles, meh. But like, I'll be there, I guess. Kind of. I'm just gonna hang out and not want to do anything because that's kind of my jam. I don't really do. I don't know. That was kind of my whole thing in high school. People come hang out with me, and I'm like, cool. Later,
Cool.
bros. Or Slotherin is a good name for a house too. If we made it a sloth.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
In the real world, what'd your highest D&D stat be and your lowest? Pretty please explain your answer. Pretty please, guys. Pretty please explain your answer.
Okay, so my strength is a 2. I'm chronically ill and I have a bad arm, and so my strength is a 2. It's really bad.
That's what I was gonna say. I was
I
gonna say.
can't open a refrigerator. Just don't worry about it. But my charisma is like a 20, so also don't worry about it. We'll be fine.
I was gonna
Casting
say
charisma all the way.
that makes a lot of sense. I was gonna say Constitution because I am also chronically ill. I don't talk about it as much because it's something that I've just lived with and kind of dealt with. But Constitution definitely lowest. I would say my highest is probably in wisdom or intelligence. I don't really know which one would be better. Just because probably intelligence. I like learning things. I think being smart helps a lot when you can't do other things like be athletic. So
I'd probably be either charisma, probably charisma for my highest, or maybe intelligence. Dexterity would be my lowest. I am extremely clumsy, though strong, freakishly strong, but very clumsy. I'm constantly covered in bruises and just tripping over things. I'm too big for this world.
I think I would say it's a weird scenario because of the way certain stats are power stats. If you think about Dungeons and Dragons, like dexterity is like your ability to move around nimbly, but it's also like ranged weapon proficiency, right? Which is like another thing that doesn't make they don't necessarily coincide. So I guess I'd probably go with wisdom as my highest set. I'm like decently book smart, but I think I'm more observant and street smart and good at a judge of character. So you can see by the people I play D&D with. So I have a decent insight check, I'd like to say. But I don't know. I think if I was to give myself a lowest stat, I think I'd probably say charisma, because like in my personal opinion, is I'm like, I guess, passively persuasive in a lot. Like I don't feel like I have a strong force of personality in my own personal life. I don't know, that's just what I throw out there. What non-D&D RPG is your favorite? We didn't actually answer that particular question. Renee, can I guess what your favorite non-D&D RPG is?
You can.
Is it Weave?
Is it?
Is it Weave?
Is it?
Probably. Yeah. But also, like I've said, I really do like Monster of the Week, and it was a landmark for me in a lot of ways, because it was the first game that I played that wasn't D&D. It was the first game I bought that wasn't D&D, and the first game that I ran that wasn't D&D. And so it has also been really sentimental to me. And yeah, I really love it. So I'll be a little less cliche and say Monster of the Week, even though that was also probably predictable.
Celeste?
Probably Call of Cthulhu right now. I'm pretty obsessed with it right now. I've only played it twice, but like that's what I'm focused on, and that's the one that like insta clicked with me as another system.
I'd be really curious to see that campaign.
Yeah, I want to do it so bad.
Laura?
I haven't really played a lot of non-D&D RPGs. Of the ones I've seen, I mean, the Weave playset is really cool, that I've seen played. I don't think I quite understand it, so I'm not going to say that, but I like the Star Trek D&D, or not Star Trek, but D&D, but RPG. I like the Star Trek one. I just like future stuff. I think that would be cool.
Yeah, I think my favorite, again, it's like I guess to run is probably Buffy the Vampire Slayer in the cinematic unisystem, but to play in would like, World of Darkness. New or old, honestly. New for Changeling, old for Hunter. But yeah. But yeah, I think, guys, we're gonna, if you missed it at the start, we're gonna go around and say, what everybody's where everybody is and where they can be found and that kind of stuff. But we are trying something new in that we're going to cut these streams, now that we're weekly, down to 2 hours with the potential to run longer, rather than 3 hours with the potential to run longer. So this one's going to be a little bit shorter, but that's okay. So we're going to go around the room here. And Laura, I guess we'll start with you. In the meantime, I'll pull up my armor for this Kingler cosplay that's playing for the future. Go ahead. Where can we find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Win in Rome. Don't confuse me with Win in Rome wine. It happens a lot, but I don't sell wine, so should be easy to remember. But yeah, or you can find me here every other Monday night playing some D&D with the awesome Belladonnas, where my character might be becoming slightly eviler based on my actual personality. No, I'm just kidding.
Things are intense, y'all.
All right. I guess we'll kind of go clockwise here. Celeste.
Hi, everybody. My name is Celeste Connor. If you want to see more of me, you can find me here on this very channel where I run a show called Mistress of Modules. We are going to be live this Sunday playing through Jordan in the chat right here. We're going to be playing his module Dragon on the Mount. So that's this Sunday starting 5 p.m. Pacific time, 8 p.m. Eastern. So check that out. That's going to be a good time. So yeah, follow Mr. Smods. You can also, if you want to hear me playing more D&D, check out my podcast, Venture Maidens, which is an actual play 5th edition podcast that Katie, we just officially invited her to be a full-time member on. So you can catch a lot of Belladonnas secretly in the Venture Maidens now. So follow us there at Venture Maidens. You can also catch me on Community, which is a Wizards of the Coast show that we are going to be live with another episode this Friday. So that's at 11 Pacific time. So tune in. It's really cute. We have tea and talk about community news. So find me there. And for updates and all that, follow me at C. Conowitch.
Now, Celeste, is Dragon on the Mountain going to be a one-shot?
I think we are going to run it as a one-shot.
Okay, I wasn't sure because this is the next Sunday is D&D Live.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So we're gonna try and get through it. So we'll see.
Okay. Renee, what about you?
Hi, I'm Renee, and you can find me on Twitter at RayDNR. I am a DM for Fate and the Fable Maidens, which is family-friendly actual play D&D podcast. I'm here every Monday night now with the Belladonnas, and I freaking love that. Wednesdays, I'm going to be playing Masks and Cypher System back to back. And I just announced a new audio drama podcast that is currently has an open casting call for 21 roles that I'm seeking. And it is based off of the Cypher System game that I play on Wednesdays, inspired by and adapted from our Cypher System campaign into a scripted podcast. So I'm very excited about that. You can find Fate and the Fable Maidens at fatefmcast.com or fatefmcast.com or at fatefmcast on social media. And then Edenfall is the name of the audio drama. And if you're interested in checking that out, it's at Edenfallcast on social media. And then also, because I talked about it a lot, I just moved to Seattle and started a new job. And so I'm celebrating all of the recent life changes and how wild everything has been. And I'm giving away a copy of Weave, which is what got me here. It's a personal copy, and I'm giving that away on my personal Twitter if you want to check that out. So, yeah, I think that's it. See you at D&D Live.
Yeah. All right, and I'm Ted. This is Nerd Immersion. Speaking of giveaways, I haven't put anything together yet, but if you missed out, all the D&D source books were dirt cheap on Amazon like a couple days ago, and they still are. So I think I have 4 copies of the base starter set of Dungeons and Dragons to give away because I got them for $8 each or something stupid. So I'm going to be giving those away, kind of celebrate 5 years of the channel, the completion of going to a D&D live event. That's like a that whole thing, and let's get some new people into D&D. So that'll be coming in the future. But yeah, I'm Ted. This is Nerd Immersion. We did our Evil campaign last week. This boys' game because Celine was feeling sick. So tomorrow is back to my homebrew campaign. If you feel free to swing by our Discord, you can feel free to throw out stuff. There's a giant tavern that they're going to. I'm looking for NPCs to throw in a tavern and rumors to have happen that the players can hear of in this tavern. So I'm open to whatever you guys want to throw out. But yeah, that's going to be tomorrow night. Wednesday, for real, It Builds character is back with Corvo from Dishonored. And then Sunday will be Mistress of Mods, as Celeste said, and then it'll be Belladonna's, my homebrew game. No, that was weird. Did that again, where it just decided to crash randomly. Sorry, guys. It almost will be seamless for you. I have no reason as to why it did that. But yeah, then I will be doing my training, and then it'll be D&D Live next Thursday through the rest of the week, where a lot of us will be doing cool stuff and look for B-roll filmed footage by myself and streaming if we can do some mobile streaming. And I'm going to throw up that picture because I have a good friend of mine who's an artist who I used to do all of my MMO streaming, my old Guild Wars 2 podcast, and my Pokemon streaming with. She's a super cool artist, and she made me cool custom Kingler armor. So check this out, guys. Take a look at that on stream there that she made for me.
Whoa. Oh my god, that's awesome. Dang.
Laura, you're muted.
I like the detail on the back.
Do you guys notice that on the handle for the hammer, it's nerd immersion? She wrote out in unknown runes on the left
good.
side there.
Oh, good. That's so good.
Yeah.
Oh
So,
my god.
Yeah.
How cool.
And the hammer clamshell was going to open so that you could have hyper beam inside there. So this is a future cosplay of mine that I've never gotten around to actually making. But yeah, she like did crazy filigree on like the tabard and stuff. So I can't not do that. Or I will be in cosplay if I can finish it between now and then. I have some stuff done already. I got my Pringles can here. I got some tattoo designs and some ladies' nylons so I can make fake tattoo sleeves.
Hell yeah.
I got this sweet unicorn design that I printed out. I'm gonna be making that into a tattoo sleeve along with some other stuff. Never had to design my own tattoo that's gonna be fake before, so this will be interesting. So yeah. Thank you guys again so much for watching. We'll see you in a week, because this is a weekly show now. Katie will be back, and we'll finish the story of this blue dragon fight that the party has been having with after Roswin got her winged tiefling's wings ripped off, and they plummeted to the ground. She plummeted to the ground, and this dragon has a demonic witching eye, or a lich eye, or whatever you want to call it.
I want it
But
so
the
bad.
dragon is what we will take it down.
I couldn't think of where demonic witching eye came from, and that's from Adventure Time, because that's one thing Ice King has, and he's like, my demonic witching eye. And yeah. Anyway, we'll see what happens next time. Thank you all so much for watching.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.